Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's Mazz back again today with another video for you guys. Today is going to be an second installment of the carbon cheat code chassis. We're going to take straight from the tutorial from the assembly video, and we're going to continue building this up. Today's going to be the servo. I'm going to show y'all what I do to clean the wires up. You can already see it on the motor wires, but like I said, this will be a series. You'll be able to find it in the playlist, step by step, how I build up a cheat code. So we have our NSDRC RS100. You can usually get these on Mazz Design's website. They're out of stock right now. My go-to. A little bit of heat shrink, some sharp flush cuts, and you'll need some expandable mesh wire loom. This is 1/8 inch. This is off of Amazon. This is 100 foot of it. It'll last you forever doing little small projects. It's perfect for this little 3-wire. Anything 2 and 3 wire on a 24 is pretty much perfect for. So the way it kind of works, if you think about how like a Chinese finger trap works, push it together, it expands, you pull it apart, it tightens up. So I also have a little safety pin. That safety pin is so that we can take this connector off, this JST connector off. And basically what you're going to want to do is take a picture of how your connector is to begin with, so we know our white stripe is on the left side when you're looking at the bottom where the tabs are to release the connectors. This side is smooth, so when we're looking at it, we'll have our white wire or our white stripe wire on the left. These are all connected, so as long as you have them laying flat, these two are going to be in the correct place. So basically what you do is, if you see how that connector is, it has little plastic tabs. I'm going to try to do this on camera. If I can't, I'll come off camera and do it real quick and come back. It's kind of hard when you're looking through, but basically what you're trying to do, you're going to push the wires as far forward as they'll go, then get under. You can hear it kind of get it. So let me come off camera and do this real quick, and then I'll come back and show y'all what I did. Just because it's kind of tough sometimes when you're looking through this camera trying to work on things. So I put a little tension backwards usually on the wires, pull them towards me. That way once I get them popped up, it kind of stays underneath it. Don't have to pull real crazy, but got all 3 of those lifted up and just barely pulled back. So you can pull those out now, and you may get hung, like this one got hung on the front little piece. There's another little piece there. So we'll take it and get up under that. See how we're up under it? We can pull that connector out. When you get them out, just push your pieces back down, they'll lay flat. So we'll set that to the side. We have our wires off. You'll also need a little bit of tape, preferably like electrical tape or something, but I just had this close to me, so I have a little bit of yellow painter's tape. And all you're going to do with that is these all have little jagged hooks on the back side, so if you're trying to go through that wire loom, it's not going to like it. It's going to try to grab that mesh. So we're just going to tape around it, kind of get them down in there. Like I said, a little bit of electrical tape works perfect, but this will do. You're just trying to get your wires where they won't get hung up in the mesh. You're going to then take and try to find out what your length is. I don't like going all the way to the end because I like to let this be as flexible as possible, and another piece of heat shrink right there is going to make it stiff. So I usually like to go to about right here where it can naturally bend, but then start the heat shrink. So we'll take our expandable mesh, and we're just going to kind of generically measure it. Nothing to the T. We're going to cut some excess. So you'll see why you need the excess, especially when 1/8 inch is kind of pushing it. But if you jump to the next size, it's too big. So you can see if these are real sharp, they'll cut pretty much every bit of it at one time. Leaves a nice clean edge. So that clean edge, as you start to move this out, will start to fray. So that's why we cut, you know, we got plenty here. We're coming out past it. Got way too much, but that's plenty. And what you're going to do is, first off, you can get this tape squeezed down on the end. That way it goes through there easy. But you're going to start to get that in the mesh. I try to put my fingers over it to try to keep it from fraying. You see how it frays. Once it starts getting over it, it'll stop fraying. And you kind of just keep working it. Keep working it. Keep working it. And you can kind of get the idea. You push, pinch your fingers and let go. Push, pinch your fingers and let go. You can also pull with it. So we'll get that down. And you can see I went too far, and that's what I was kind of planning on doing. And the reason for that is once you get it to this point, you can kind of calculate how much you're going to need to trim off to be able to get it where you want it. Obviously, we're right here at the plugs where the yellow is, where the yellow stops. So we're not going to want to bring the heat shrink right up to that. We're going to want to kind of have it back a little bit. We want to be able to let those wires move freely up there as well. So once you've gotten to that point, you can kind of go down here, figure out you're going to need to go back around and trim this. And these come in good here. You can use scissors as well, but these snip it off real clean. And the sharper, newer they are, unless you've cut metal with them or anything. I don't try to use these on metal. Sometimes I go against my own advice and do it, but these haven't cut too much, so you can see it kind of takes all our little frayed pieces off there. You're gonna want to get as many of those frayed pieces off, and that's good. That's cleaned up. You can go even more than that. But what I like to do at that point is we kind of know we want to kind of be at that point anyway. Plus our heat shrink's going to come down just a touch past this more, probably right where my fingernail is, right here. So that's about where we would want it. So if we look up here, we're going to need to cut off. We'd want to cut it to about here where I'm squeezing here. So what then you'll do is move this back down, kind of move it with your fingers. And I kind of move my fingers with it, and I'm still touching it right where I was. We're gonna come right back. Trim it just a little bit long, just to make sure we're not cutting ourselves short here. Then I like to leave that as is, because as you'll see, once you get it over the wire, it's harder to get the heat shrink over it, and you'll start fraying it real bad. So this heat shrink fits pretty much perfect. It's tight over the tape, but that won't be a problem. We don't use that much heat shrink. We'll take our same snips and cut us 2 pieces the same length, about that length right there. We'll double them up, cut us another piece. I like to keep them very close to the same size so they look uniform. So we're really close. So then what we'll do, like I said, before you do the pulling all this back over the tape, that way you can kind of grab this and pull. You get that one over, we'll go ahead and put our second piece over. Same thing, you can kind of grab and pull. And that way you're not fighting. See, once this gets over this connector and stuff, this will start fraying out again. So the more you can keep that from happening, the better. So we're going to work this back again. Sorry guys, I was trying to keep you on camera and watch what I'm doing. So we'll get this all set up. We'll pull our little bit of tape off here. Just pull it off. We got a little bit left here, but like I said, we're gonna have our heat shrink come over to hold it down and keep it nice and clean. So this piece that we pulled over first is gonna come up. This piece will be, we're gonna come down just a little bit more on this wire. And I like to try to keep, you'll notice all these wires are back flat in here. So like I said, when you go back to put them in and look for your white, you'll know that they're incorrectly. So we're gonna pull this back up and pull this down just a touch. And you kind of still have to move it by hand, by sliding it. And that's about where we wanna be. So we can pull this side down. And we see when it bends over, that's about where we want it. And this is where we come in. We want to make sure you come back. You see the frayed area. Sorry, guys. See the frayed area. We want to come just past that frayed just a little bit. And one thing I hadn't mentioned, your little heat gun. Now, this thing gets hot, even though it's from the Harbor Freight, you know, favorite tool store. Low heat. You're going to want to do low heat and keep it away from your fingers. And I need to plug it in real quick, so just give me 1 second. So we're plugged in. Like I said, you don't need anything crazy. I wouldn't use a lighter. People will use lighters. I don't like using lighters. It always puts soot and, you know, all kinds of nastiness on the heat shrink. So I kind of hold it by the servo. Turn it on low heat. You'll see it start to shrink down, and you're going to want to go all the way around. And as you do this, it'll tighten up real nice. Sorry, I'm hitting the camera, trying to look through. And I can even lay it down because I'm on my welding table. And I can get it shrunk down. As you can see, you can even see where the wire loom stops in there. There's a little bump right there where my thumb is, but it's nice and tight down on the wires. Holds to the wires very nicely. We come back up here to this side. Same thing. We're going to pull over to where we're just past. So about right there. We're going to hold the wire out so that we're not burning ourselves. We'll move that out of the way so we're not burning the carbon cheat code alive. And once again, before I do this, let me just make sure to tell you, make sure you go back, pull all your excess, which I already have, but pull it towards this way and it'll get where it's as tight as it can be. That's what she said. And then you're gonna hold your wire out. Want to always keep the heat moving. Simple as that. Got your very nice, flexible, expandable wire loom. It's the only kind of wire loom I use. And then, like I said, we know that these wires are laying flat, so we knew that the pins, there's little pins, you can barely see them. They face up towards the tabs on the connector. And all you're gonna do at this point is get them all three. We know our white wire is on the left, our white striped wire is on the left. We make sure our plugs are all in correctly, which you can see that by how the wire is crimped in there. And then you're literally just gonna push. Oh, sorry guys. Sitting here trying to watch this through there. So we get them all back up in there. Give them a little ugga-dugga, make sure they're in there really good. And our clips back on. As you can see, it's all flat again. It catches those little tabs. So now you have a freshly wire loomed RS100. If a RS100, if you didn't think it gets any better than an RS100, you're right, until you put a little bit of clean wire loom on it. So simple as can be. We'll slap this guy onto the truck real quick, and this will be the servo portion of the carbon cheat code buildup. So like I said, the expandable mesh can be found on Amazon. I won't have a link, but if you just type in 1/8 expandable mesh wire loom or anything to that, anything in that realm of searches on Amazon will result you in coming across this Alex Tech. And this stuff's, I mean, it's cheap. I say it's cheap. It's 100 foot of it. It gets you, I think you can even buy it in smaller increments. I use it for a bunch of different stuff, car audio and all kinds of wiring things, even some computer projects and whatnot. We do all, you know, so we do a little bit of everything on it. But I use it for all kinds of things. So we'll slide this in through here. We're just gonna throw this on here for you guys. The NSDRC mount and servo line up perfect. Take your first screw. I always say put a little bit of blue Loctite, but I'm gonna be going back through this truck before it's done. I gotta do a few other things. I still gotta pull it back off to put the steering arm on, but this at least gets you going. And like I said, that will clean up. Now, I will also have another video. I'll probably end up pulling this back off again because I'm going to shorten this wire, and I'll show y'all how I do that as well. All the tools and all the different stuff necessary to be able to shorten your servo. I just like my wiring super clean. I feel like if your wiring's a mess, your build's not finished. That's just me. I mean, not saying it works any better, not saying it makes your truck crawl better, but definitely much more pleasing to the eye than, especially the NSDRCs aren't as bad, but some of your different servos that have the yellow and brown and all that red, you know, the McDonald's sponsored wiring. So you can see how clean that looks, but it's super long. But like I said, we'll do another video on that. This one's long enough. Appreciate you guys tuning in as usual. Put a comment down in the comments. Tell me what you think. Like I said, I'm just Billy Bob, dumb redneck from North Carolina, trying to show y'all how I do different stuff. But as you can see, it's nice. It still gives all that movement of the servo wires right here. You know, and there's different ways you can route these. A lot of times I'll come over. Sometimes I'll come back across if I'm putting it on the left side and go straight to it. But like I said, guys, comment, tell me what you think about the little wire mesh or the expandable mesh wire loom. Tell me if you think it looks better, if you like your wires raw, like ODB says, you know. But once again, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn that notification bell on so you're notified every time Mazz does a video. And until next time, guys, y'all have a good one.